Hey guys, Bluebear Crypto back with another video. Today I'm just going to be going through what I'm holding. This will mostly be a video that I can look back to in the later months or years in the future and basically see what I was holding at the time, where we came from and where we went. So Bitcoin is over 100,000. We're basically just on the brink of an alt season. So everything is looking really good. We're all winning at the moment. It's just a case of we know it's going to happen. We're just waiting for the alt season to start now. And it kind of has started because everything is slowly going up. So yeah, that is all good. I worked out roughly a combination of all the stuff that I've got in the shed and then all of my rigs. It came to about 18,800. My profitability for the average month back in September was a £17.82 profit, and that's after electricity costs. I've made a new one. It's not as cut and dry as the previous one because electricity was cheaper back in September. If you look at my 30-day average, I was paying about 9.39p per kilowatt, and at the moment it has gone up massively. So my 30-day average at the moment is 16.37p per kilowatt. The lower rates just aren't really low, they're just standard rates, and then everything else is just super high. So yeah, electricity prices in the UK and I think most of Europe at the moment are down the drain. So that's just what it is. Luckily, profitability is up, so it does mean that I can still mine at an okay profitability when rates are a little bit higher than they used to be on the lows, if that makes sense. The way that I am mining at the moment is I've got my KS2 Lite and my 6 KS0 Pros constantly on. I've got my KS2 Lite downstairs and my KS0 Pros upstairs, and they basically are working to constantly keep the house warm. So as of right now, they're getting about £66.32 in Casper a month. It is costing me about £129 in electricity for just basically running them. Not profitable, but it's not a problem because they are heating the home, and it means that we don't have to just use central heating, which is a little bit cheaper for me. Bitcoin Cash, I've got my Avalon Nano 3 running constantly. That warms up the other side of the shed, and I've also got my Nano 3 now, so it is a little bit more power consumption. I think it was 130 watts with the Nano 3, and then it's about 21 watts for the Bitax Gamma. That costs me £17.70 for those to run, which it's not really noticeable on my electricity bill, so I'm not really too worried about them. They are earning £0. I've not hit a block yet, sadly. I did hear that someone hit a block. I didn't look into it, but if they did, that is pretty cool. Because of the rates, if I ran everything like I used to, where at the time I was mining Pyron, which is now basically a scam coin, it got rugged. So I was mining Pyron on everything, and that was using 1.25 kilowatts at that rate when I'm not selling any of it to cover the costs. I pay for everything out of my own pocket with electricity costs. Yeah, it's just the bills would just pile up a little bit too hard. So the way that I strategize it is I mine when the rates fall below 10p a kilowatt. So I've currently got 4 6600 XTs mining Neoxa when electricity costs fall below 10p. I've changed this, so I've got one 3060 Ti and one 3070 mining Aleo when costs fall below 10p a kilowatt, and the S9J Bitcoin miner, I use that when prices fall below 5p a kilowatt. The Octa miner, that is currently in my house as well, and that is basically a heater. It only goes on when electricity rates are around maybe 10 to 15p a kilowatt, but it will go on just to warm the house up if I need to, as long as it's not in peak time. Same with the S9J. That is quite a small little thing. It's a bit heavy, but I can move it around, and as long as I've got 2 plug sockets, one for power of Ethernet and one for actually powering it, it can go anywhere. That is a really good heater because that is what generates the most heat out of all of them. And with the Brains OS, you can set what the fan speed is. That's quite nice actually, because it means that when the house is cold, and it doesn't need to be on like 60, 70, 80, 90, 100%. It means that you can put it on like 50% and it will be at like 70, 80 degrees. It's fairly quiet for the amount of heat that it generates. Priority at the moment is just heating the house and try not to use central heating. The Casper miners are pulling their weight quite a lot. When the temperatures drop below maybe 5 degrees, that's when I'll start needing to use the Octominer or the S9J. These Casper miners that are permanently on, they just keep the house like a good few degrees higher than what it would be without. So yeah, that's really cool. My crypto portfolio as of yesterday, I'll just go through it. The start of my journey when I first got into crypto was around the time when GameStop first boomed. Everyone was going mental on Wall Street bets. I started learning about hedge funds and all that jazz and trying to beat the market, and everyone was just in it to buy as much GameStop as possible, which would hedge against hedge fund companies which were trying to drive the price down, and it basically gave it some big ass god candle. I wanted to get into that with basically no experience, so like a smooth 8 brain that everybody is when they first get into Wall Street bets and investing in that way. I bought 4 shares of GameStop at about $55 each whilst I was working out the app that I was using, because I was completely new to investing. I set a profit stop for $169, thinking it's probably never going to get there. So I was just trying to sort of see how things worked on the app. What I didn't realize is that when it did do a good chunky god candle the second time, it basically stopped just after that. So I sold all of my GameStop at $169 and made basically the biggest investment profit that I'd ever made in my life, which it's not that much in the grand scheme, but I was pretty damn happy going into something with no experience, and then it just boomed. So when I made that money, it kind of got me thinking, like, that's good. I've made money out of nothing here. Kind of got me hooked a little bit, and I was thinking, what else can I get into that is this big and can get this much profit? And at the time, it was the Bullrun. It was basically mid-Bullrun for crypto. The same app that I used for GameStop gave you maybe like 10 coins in crypto that you could buy through them. So I did that. In hindsight, I wouldn't recommend doing it through like a stock app because you don't actually own the coins most of the time. You basically buy in the asset for the company to hold it for you, so you never actually have true ownership of it. I'd buy a big chunk of a crypto, just a random one. I didn't know what any of them were apart from Bitcoin, but Bitcoin wasn't as volatile as the rest of them, so I was choosing others like XRP and ADA. I'd set like a profit stop on it, so when it went up by like 10% after buying it, it would just automatically sell for me. Everything just kept on going up and then back down and then up and then back down. And I was benefiting each time it went up. It would sell off and then it would come back down. It was kind of like day trading, but it was over the space of like a few days because I'd set the percentage gains big enough so it wasn't selling every single day. And sometimes it would go down, but it would always go back up because it was the bull run, so everything was slowly going up. I had no idea about crypto cycles. I just thought that this is how it's going to be forever, and I was making maybe a few £100 every few days. That lasted for maybe 1 to 2 months, and then we came out of the bull run, which nobody really knew at the time because it goes down a little bit and then everyone's waiting for it to go back up, but then it goes down a bit more and everyone's still waiting for it to go back up, and before you know it, it's like, I don't know, 2022 and Bitcoin's down to like $18,000. All of the alts basically tanked. It felt like they all went to zero. They didn't, but when you go all in at an all-time high for altcoins or any coin, it basically feels like a rug pull. That's the lesson I think everybody does at the start of crypto. You buy something usually at the top because that's when you hear about it, when everything's doing really well, and then it all goes, so you realize that you've pretty much lost your money. So I had a good chunk in XRP and I had a good chunk in ADA, but I never sold them and I kind of just forgot about them. And then I found out about Ethereum, that you can mine Ethereum through Red Panda Mining, and credit to his videos where he shows you how to set up GPU rigs. That's basically how I got started on my first rig, which is the 46600 XTs, which cost an absolute bomb. How much did I spend on those? £2,079 for 46600 XTs. £175 for a 6600 XT. This one went for £50.77, 155, 210. So yeah, absolutely insane pricing for that, for what I paid for that. But I basically FOMO'd. I was wanting to get into GPU mining, saw that you can generate money just by having a computer run in the background for you, and had no consideration of electricity costs or anything at the time. I was just like, yeah, let's do this. This is a good idea. Which got me Ethereum, which I was mining, and I spent all of my Ethereum to buy more rig parts and Casper ASICs. I think most of my Casper ASICs were bought with Ethereum. XRP, ADA, and Bitcoin are bought, and then everything else is what I've used basically mining. So with apart from Nexo is what I've used back to back with XRP whilst it was down, just to gain interest on it, which was quite a good idea. I've actually gained quite a bit from using Nexo, so that's cool. And then yeah, these are all just coins that I've tried to mine. Neoxa, Aleo. I've converted most of my Aleo into Litecoin, but yeah, Conflux, Radiant, Ironfish, Ergo, Alephium, Xano. I've got a tiny bit of Ethereum left. Gram, Ton, and then there's things like Mysterium, which don't even look into that. It's not worth it. Jump token, which I think is like Honeygain. I think I got that from that. And yeah, all the ones up here are just like little hobby crypto projects. They all add up. All of them together are a fairly decent chunk. And yeah, so the 20% Casper has all been mined through my Ice River ASICs. And yeah, that was basically what I wanted to do. The holdings that I've got here with my ADA, XRP, Nexo, Bitcoin, I kind of wanted to mine as much as possible before the next bull run, just so I can have as much gain as possible in terms of profitability. Now, what's my plan and what's my strategy for this next bull run? So most people that are in it for the long term want to just keep accruing and maybe sell off a little bit when you're in a bull run, but you want to just be constantly accruing. It's not really about how much you're spending on the crypto for a lot of people. It's how much you're gaining in the coin. Say for example Bitcoin, people that are long term into Bitcoin and they do the dollar cost average bi-monthly or bi-weekly, you're not really looking at the price of the coin, you're looking at how much actual Bitcoin you've got. This time round, my plan in an ideal world is probably to sell almost all of this in the next bull run so I can reinvest it in the bear market, so I can just improve on costs, improve on efficiency of miners, just reinvest it really. So in a perfect world, I will try and sell it at the closest to the top, just reinvest. Electricity rates aren't good at the moment. If we look at this year in November, the average price for the day has been around, it was so good. In September when I did that first one, it's just been so good these past few times. And bear in mind, my rate is lower than all of these because I've got a battery that can get out of using any electricity during peak times. The price is just going up and up and up. Comparing to last year in January, if that's what repeats again, if you have a look at 2022 was just insane for pricing. If January is the same and it's more expensive, then we're going to be having problems with profitability, and even just heating houses. It's going to cost an absolute bombshell to just heat the house from rigs. But we'll get through it. Comparing it to last year, realistically, it should be expensive for about halfway through December, and then it should fall off because the industrial side of electricity usage will be off for the Christmas holidays. So we should actually have really good rates. The markets, they're just looking good. Everything's getting more profitable if you've got the good electricity rates. So they're kind of trying to meet in the middle, but I just need electricity prices to come down a bit more to make it even better for me. Profitability on my current average rate, which is $0.21 per kilowatt, I'm losing 7p a day per graphics card, and I've got 8 of them, minus 56p a day if I use like the Octominer, for example, which isn't that bad, but I'm not running it for the whole day, so I don't lose that much money anyway. But yeah, I try and keep them on for as long as possible, just because obviously the more coin you get, the better you can expose yourself to high gains. Because I pay it out of pocket, I try not to go absolutely mental on bad prices. Another problem that we've got in the UK, and I need to start understanding the whole energy scene with the UK, because the more you look into it, the more you realise that we're not in a good situation with how everything's been set up and the future of how it can expand. This is our nuclear energy for the UK, and we had 2 shutdowns last month on reactors. So we've got 5 reactors out of 10 in the UK that aren't online in winter, when electricity prices are already higher than what they've been the whole year. And I'm not too sure whose idea it was to refuel reactors when electricity prices are at the highest. Like, if you kind of think about it, it would probably make sense to do it when in like April or summer, basically any time apart from winter. Like, if you'd have just gone on last year, you'd see that it is not a good time to do that. So I just need to look at everything. I need to understand why everything is the way it is. And also, there is a big issue with wind energy in the UK, because we've just got a ton of wind farms on the shorelines, which is great. But the amount of energy that they create is more than what we can utilize, and it means that the wind turbines are getting turned off. We've had a storm recently, Storm Darragh. So we've had a storm, but we've had to shut off I think at least one wind farm. I haven't looked into it this time around, but yeah, I just can't understand why we've got this massive setup and no one's had the foresight to go, what if we can't actually use it? Like, surely you'd look at max load and think, yeah, we can accommodate that. But yeah, I need to look into all of it, and I think I'll probably make a video on it, because we focused on wind energy to reduce electricity costs in the UK, or to use more renewable energy. But yeah, the fact that we have to turn it off because we can't use it, it's just weird, man. Profitability is going up, so I'm just hoping that next year sees us in with some nice tasty rates. I'm looking forward to the sun coming back, because I'm getting next to no solar energy from the panels at the moment. They are basically sleeping every day, so not good. But this bull run, as long as you've got coins, you are looking in a good place. That's just my little insight on what I'm holding at the moment, and it's just a waiting game now. Got a few months left, and a lot of this hopefully will be gone for some big gains. So we will see what happens, and I'll see you guys in the next one.